Hello, everyone. This is Amy from Humility and Doxology, coming a little bit later than I intended this afternoon, but I'm trying something new. I'm in a different room. It's one of my children's rooms. You can notice she has the Declaration of Independence up on her wall in fake parchment. The light's kind of funky. I'll have to experiment and figure this out. But I've been noticing that we've been having some issues with the internet and some of the other Facebook Lives. And this is closer to the router modem, whatever the correct tech term is. So I'm going to see if this helps. And if not, then I'll go back up to my room where there's blank space on the wall. But again, I'm Amy Sloan from Humility and Doxology, and I'm so glad you're here. I have a few things to share with you today. If I seem distracted, it's because I just finished having a long math one going over squares and square roots and perimeter and area, and then was barely finished in time to go try to grab my computer and things. I went up the stairs and found that one of my wonderful children had taken the homemade Play-Doh that they had colored with food gel dye without checking, taken it upstairs, and while trying to helpfully clean, dropped the container. And we now have pink homemade clay all over our carpet and stairs and toys. And she's up there cleaning it. I was just like, I will come and check on this in a minute. She's like, I'm cleaning. Like, okay, just try to pick up the big pieces first with a paper towel and not just keep scrubbing them. She was trying to like scrub them into the carpet. Yeah, but that's okay. I am here because I have 3 things I'm very excited to share with you today. And the first thing I wanted to share with you is something to listen to. I just listened to the first episode of a New to Me podcast. It's one put out through the Circe Institute. They have lots of podcast networks, and this is the Close Reads network. And they have a new one called The Play's the Thing. So if you enjoy Shakespeare, if you enjoy long, rambly discussions, this is certainly not a podcast if you have limited time or want people to get to the point, and be done in 10 minutes or something. This is just a delightful discussion of themes and ideas from Shakespeare. They're going to be taking at least 6 weeks a play, and their goal is to go through all of Shakespeare's plays. So they've started with King Lear. So I listened to that first episode, sort of setting up the podcast, setting up the play, and then looking closely at Act 1. I was thinking in particular, I wanted to share this with you because if any of you have high schoolers and you were wanting to do some sort of literature study with them, study Shakespeare maybe a little bit beyond just memory work or reading the easy children's versions of the play, this would be a perfect podcast to listen to either together with your kids or sort of in parallel. Like have the high schooler listen while they're driving to work, you listen while you're washing the dishes, and then come together and be able to use what you've heard to aid in your discussion. Really highly recommend that. And you know that I'm a big podcast lover. In fact, I didn't put this in the show notes, but I just drew a blank. My blog, humilityanddoxology.wordpress.com. If you go there, you should be able to find one of my very earliest posts where I list a bunch of my favorite podcasts, including a few others that would be great for literature discussions with your teens or just for yourself. So The Play's the Thing from Circe. I have the link here in the notes and would recommend that for any mamas who already like Shakespeare, don't like Shakespeare, but kind of want to listen to someone who does, or someone who is looking for a way to include literature discussion with an older child, because they already have, I believe, all of the episodes for King Lear out. So you could start there, or wait for a comedy, or yeah, but definitely bookmark that podcast. Okay, so for a really fun follow, if you have been around the Humility and Doxology Facebook page for any length of time, you know that I am a big fan of a funny meme and a good GIF. I just find them delightful and humorous and bizarre and fun. And I kind of joke with my friends that, you know, funny memes and GIFs might be one of my love languages. But I love especially clever ones, or ones that make me laugh or poke fun at myself. And so a recent follow on Instagram has been Homeschooling with the Classics. It's a relatively new Instagram feed, even newer than me, which is surprising because I feel like I was the last person to get on Instagram, and I still am not quite sure how it all works. But if you follow Homeschooling with the Classics, you are sure to laugh several times a day. Just very fun memes, typically related, as the name suggests, to homeschooling, and sort of poking fun at like inside jokes about especially classical education, Charlotte Mason education. Just really funny. Hi, Melinda. It's good to see you. So I would definitely recommend adding Homeschooling with the Classics to your Instagram follows. And if you're not following me over there, it's Humility and Doxology on Instagram as well. Okay, so listen to the Plays the Thing podcast about Shakespeare. Follow Homeschooling with the Classics. And then I had to share a picture book recommendation. This is for reading. Oh, here it is. It's called The Apple Pie That Papa Baked. And it's by Lauren Thompson, and it's illustrated by Jonathan Bean. I love books illustrated by Jonathan Bean. We own one called, I believe it's This Is My House, This Is My School, or This Is My Home, This Is My School. He was actually homeschooled, not kind of beginning generation like I was, and he is a gifted illustrator and author in his own right. But this one he illustrates for Lauren Thompson, who has crafted just a delightful story. There's sort of this vintage quality to the illustrations. And it is a simple poem, so it starts where the little girl starts with the pie that her papa baked. And then it kind of goes back, and it shows her looking out the window, and she sees her papa heading out with his ladder. And as the story progresses, it tells each step, the tree and the clouds and the rain and the pie and the farm animals. It's just delightful. All of my children and I enjoyed this. It was definitely one of those picture books I was reading to the little kids, and I had the tween and the teen kind of come over and lean over the back of the chair to see what was going on. So I thought, it's fall, we've got apples galore. Last year, I'll have to see if I can find this photo. This was actually, I think, well, yeah, this was before I even was blogging, but we were reading how to make an apple pie and see the world. That's another good recommendation. And the kids and I had gone to our local farmers market and got all these different varieties of apples here in North Carolina. Of course, we are very proud of our apple farms in the mountains, and you can get all these different varieties that you don't see normally in the grocery store. So I had all the kids with their paring knives, trying not to like worry about losing fingers, and we read the storybook, and they cut the apples, and we made an apple pie. So I'm hoping to do that again this fall, but I think we'll do it along with this picture book this year. So see, The Apple Pie That Papa Baked is my read recommendation for you all in honor of fall. And bonus content, because I can't stop with just 3 things. It was really funny to me, as anyone who's coming on, Melinda, you may have missed the story of how right before I got on, we had a slight catastrophe upstairs with some homemade Play-Doh that really wasn't supposed to be upstairs. It's not even really Play-Doh. It's like clay, and it was colored with food gel. So it's like a massive stain all in the carpet. It's currently being cleaned up, and I will deal with it in a little bit. But as I looked at that, I was like, this is a disaster. And I don't know about you, but disaster is sometimes a word that I can throw around, maybe too flippantly, in front of my children. I go in and I see their bedroom and I'm like, this room is a disaster. I certainly felt disastrous about the pink goo that is everywhere upstairs in my hall as I came down. But that was actually one of the bonus things I wanted to bring to you guys today. So a podcast that I have mentioned before, if you've read my podcast post on the blog, is the Sorta Awesome podcast. And their recent episode is talking about how to be a happier parent, which, hey, we could all use some help with that. Get some good perspective. How much of it is just perspective? You can choose to be, or you can be miserable, because things are always going wrong. I mean, things break, things spill. The timing of stuff is never convenient. And if each of those things I face as a disaster, then how that affects my own emotions, and then that's my kids. So I would recommend that particular episode from Sorta Awesome. But this one phrase just has stuck with me. And Meg said, "This is not a disaster. It's just a situation." I think actually she said it was something one of her children said to her when she was getting all frazzled. And it is so convicting, because how often do I treat these things as disasters that are not disasters? It's a situation. I remember talking to my mother-in-law. My husband has told me that he can't remember his mom even one time, like raising her voice at him or like yelling at him and like losing her temper. I mean, I'm sure she got frustrated, but my children are not going to have that to say to their spouse one day. But I was talking to her one time. I was like, I know your children. Like, I know stuff. And how to keep your cool. And she said, I always figured when something bad had happened, like that thing has happened, it's broken, it's messed up, whatever, it's already happened. So getting all worked up about it is not going to fix the situation or make me feel any better. So I'm just going to move forward and do what needs to be done to deal with this problem. And I thought that was really profound and convicting and humbling and all those things. But it reminded me when I heard it's not a disaster, it's a situation. It sort of went together. And I told my kids, I was like, all right, when I start freaking out, like thing that is a disaster, just remind me. It's not a disaster, it's just a situation. So by God's grace, I would like to fix the problem that has occurred and move forward and not allow our whole day or even just my own emotions to be derailed by the constant problems that just do happen. I mean, that's just life in this fallen world, right? And the final bonus was I did want to make sure, if you didn't already know about the free parenting workshops my friend Lynna has this week. She already did one on Friday, but there are two more. One is tomorrow, Tuesday, and one is on Thursday. And they're titled When Sibling Conflicts Take Up All Your Time. And certainly tantalizing, something we can relate to. Lynna is a mom of 8 and has a lot of experience, obviously, with sibling conflict, but also the Lord has given her wisdom and perspective to share with us all. So I've dropped a link for where you can sign up for those free workshops. Well, it's the same workshop, just 2 different times this week, so make sure you don't miss out on that. Okay, wow, I think that was my 3+ bonus content, and now I better go help clean up the mess upstairs. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon, and I will talk to you later.